right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling attracting happiness and repelling guilt.
Oh, those are big ones, right?
Definitely. And we've got a ton of motivational lectures to sift through.
A mountain of material.
Yeah, so we're going to unearth practical techniques to help deal with both.
That's the mission, right?
Exactly. To figure out how to attract happiness and dispel those icky guilt feelings.
And these lectures are fascinating. So many real-life examples.
I'm all about those real-life stories.
Me too. They make it so relatable.
Okay, so where do we even start with something as big as happiness?
Well, the lectures actually kick off with a super basic tool. The power of words.
Wait, just the words we say?
Yep, they have a kind of magnetism.
Magnetism.
Yeah, they can attract or repel, like a good salesperson.
I never thought about words like that.
Right. They influence thoughts and feelings, shape perceptions.
So, like, positive words attract positive vibes.
Exactly. There's even this cute story about Mark Twain.
Oh, I love Mark Twain.
He wrote daily love notes to his wife, even when they were both home. Ah, that's so sweet.
Right. It shows how small, positive expressions can really nurture a relationship.
That's so true. Little things go a long way.
Absolutely. And this ties into the whole "you are what you think" idea.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
So writing kind of crystallizes those thoughts.
By putting pen to paper.
Yep. Or fingers to keyboard these days. Haha.
True. Making those positive affirmations more concrete.
Exactly. But words are just the start, right?
All right, what else is there?
Well, to attract happiness, the lectures really focus on positive mental attitude.
PMA, I've heard of that.
Yeah. It emphasizes faith, hope, charity, optimism, the whole shebang.
Sounds like a recipe for a joyful life.
It is.
Yeah.
And there's this story about the richest man in Happy Valley.
Happy Valley.
Yeah, it's an example from the lectures, but get this.
What?
He wasn't actually rich in money, but he had this inventory
An inventory of what?
of all the good stuff in his life.
Yeah.
Health, peace of mind, inner harmony.
Oh, wow. Things money can't buy.
Exactly. It makes you think, right?
Yeah, about what truly matters. Right. And the lectures even ask, is your world right?
Whoa, that's deep.
Yeah, are we letting negativity or even guilt cloud our view?
Guilt.
Yeah, that's the next big topic, actually.
So we're moving from attracting the good to facing the bad.
Kinda. But the lectures don't totally demonize guilt.
Huh, interesting.
They say it can be a sign of a healthy conscience.
So like a desire to do better.
Exactly. They give examples of people who turn guilt into action.
Like who?
Well, there's Saul of Tarsus, who went from persecuting Christians to spreading Christianity.
Wow, that's a major turnaround.
Right. And John Bunyan, he wrote an amazing book in prison.
While imprisoned.
Yep. He used his guilt to create something incredible.
So guilt can be a catalyst for good.
It can, but of course there's a dark side too.
I bet.
If it festers, it can become toxic, especially with a negative mental attitude.
NMA, the opposite of PMA.
Right. They even mention Freud's concept of the need to be ill.
Need to be ill.
Yeah, unresolved guilt can manifest in self-destructive behaviors.
Oh, wow. So it's not just feeling bad. It can have real consequences.
Absolutely. And that reminds me of one of the most gripping stories about Jim Voss.
Jim Voss?
Yeah, his life is a total illustration of how guilt can spiral out of control.
Okay, I need to hear this.
So, Voss, on the surface, had it all, but underneath, a web of crime.
No way. What kind of crime?
Stealing, breaking the law, living in constant fear of being caught.
Oh man, the guilt must have been eating him alive.
It was. And what finally shook him was a Billy Graham revival meeting.
A revival meeting.
Yeah, he felt this premonition he might be in danger.
Like a threat on his life.
Well, we'll get to that. But picture Voss at this revival.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Hearing Graham talk about the emptiness of worldly gain, you know?
Yeah, if it costs your soul.
Right. And Voss walks down the aisle, decides to change.
Wow, what a moment.
Right. But years later, he's telling his story, and a woman approaches him.
Okay, what does she say?
She reveals that while he was at that revival, an FBI teletype went out.
An FBI teletype.
Yeah, about Voss. Yeah, warning that a rival gang was planning to kill him.
Oh my gosh, that's chilling.
Right. And where would he have been if not for that revival?
In St. Louis, right.
Exactly. That meeting might have saved his life.
Wow. Talk about divine intervention.
Right. But the question is, how did he actually conquer his guilt?
Yeah, how did he turn things around?
The lectures outline 5 key actions: listening to his conscience, counting his blessings, asking for forgiveness, making amends for his past, and living by the golden rule.
Wow, that's a powerful framework.
It is. Voss shows that guilt can be a springboard for change.
By taking responsibility and choosing a different path.
Exactly. So we've gone from words to PMA to guilt. It's like building a toolkit.
A toolkit for a happier life. I like it.
Me too. But knowing the right thing isn't always clear cut, is it?
True. Life is messy.
And the lectures address this head on with a story about some salesmen.
Salesman.
Yeah, they all worked for this guy, George Johnson, a great leader.
Okay, I'm listening.
Johnson had a mentee, John Black, who he really took under his wing.
Uh-oh, I sense some drama coming.
You got it. Black decides to betray Johnson, poach clients, the whole deal.
Wow, talk about backstabbing.
Right. And he even manipulates his friends, gets them to promise secrecy.
So the other salesmen are stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Totally. Loyalty to their friend versus loyalty to their employer.
A classic conflict of loyalties.
It is. And their decision ultimately highlights the importance of integrity.
Doing the right thing, even when it's tough.
Exactly. Sometimes it means going against someone you care about.
It makes you think, haven't we all faced loyalty tests?
Oh, for sure. Life throws those curveballs.
It does. But how do we even assess if we're on the right track?
That's where the success quotient analysis comes in.
Success quotient. Sounds kind of intense.
Not really. It's more like a progress report for your life.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
It helps you identify strengths, weaknesses, areas to focus on.
So, like, what are my values? What are my goals? Am I living in alignment?
Exactly. It's all about self-reflection, not judgment.
I like that. It reminds me of something J. Milburn Smith said.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
The burden of learning is on the person who wants to learn, not on the person who wants to teach.
That's so true. You got to be proactive in your own growth.
Totally. Speaking of growth, the lectures talk about this sleeping giant within us.
Ah, yes, the sleeping giant.
It's about realizing the crazy potential of our minds.
Right. They describe the conscious and subconscious mind as powerful giants.
So why is it sleeping?
Well, the conscious mind is often underutilized, like untapped potential.
So how do we wake it up?
That's the million-dollar question, and we'll dig into that next time.
Okay, you've got me hooked. I can't wait to learn more.
It's going to be good, I promise.
Awesome. Well, we'll pause there for now and pick up with this sleeping giant in part 2.
Sounds good. Until next time.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Last time, that cliffhanger about the sleeping giant.
Oh, yeah, the sleeping giant. Such a powerful image.
Right. It's about all this potential we have just waiting to be unleashed.
It is. It really captures the essence of these lectures.
Okay, so before we get too metaphorical, let's recap what we've learned so far.
Good idea. We started with the power of words, right?
Yeah, how they can influence our thoughts, shape our reality, all that.
Exactly. Like, be careful what you speak into existence, you know?
Right. And that story about Mark Twain, so sweet.
Oh, the love notes. Yeah, I loved that example.
It shows how simple acts can make a big difference.
Totally. Then we moved on to PMA, positive mental attitude.
Right. Choosing to focus on the good, on the possibilities.
Exactly. And it's not just wishful thinking, there's science behind it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Studies show focusing on the positive can rewire your brain.
So it's like mental exercise.
Exactly. But, of course, life isn't always sunshine and rainbows.
True, true.
And the lectures acknowledge that we all face challenges.
Make mistakes, feel guilty.
Right. And it's about how we deal with those negative emotions.
Which brings us back to Jim Voss. What a story.
Oh, man. His transformation is so inspiring.
It shows that even in the depths of guilt, there's hope.
Absolutely. Taking responsibility and choosing a different path.
Those 5 steps he outlined, so practical.
Listening to your conscience, counting your blessings, seeking forgiveness, making amends, living by the golden rule.
A roadmap for dealing with guilt, for sure.
It is. But sometimes knowing the right path isn't easy.
Especially when there are conflicting loyalties, like in that story with the salesman.
Oh, yeah, John Black and the betrayal. That one sparked a lot of discussion.
Right. It brings up questions about ethics, loyalty, personal values.
Totally. It's easy to judge, but we don't always have the full picture.
True. Everyone's got their own story.
Exactly. And it all ties back to the success quotient analysis.
Right. That personal progress report for life.
Yep. It's about honestly assessing where you're at, not judging.
And the lectures actually provide guidance on how to do it?
They do. They've got this detailed questionnaire.
Oh, interesting.
It covers different areas of your life, relationships, career, health, personal growth.
So you can see where you might need to focus your energy.
Exactly. It's about self-discovery, not beating yourself up.
I like that. And it reminds me, we have to be proactive in our own growth.
Absolutely. Like J. Milburn Smith said, the burden of learning is on the person who wants to learn.
Exactly. We can't just passively wait for things to change.
And the lectures offer so many resources to support that growth.
Like what?
They have this huge bibliography packed with books on personal development, philosophy, all sorts of stuff.
Wow, they really went all out.
They did. They see those books as tools for expanding our knowledge.
And challenging our assumptions, inspiring us.
Right. One book they highlight a lot is Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one, a classic.
It is. It's all about positive thinking, goal setting, perseverance.
Sounds right up our alley.
It is. And they share this story about Brownie Wise, a super successful businesswoman.
Brownie Wise.
Yeah, she attributed a lot of her success to Think and Grow Rich.
Wow, that's powerful.
Right. She even made it required reading for her team.
Talk about believing in a book.
Seriously. But, you know, sometimes I struggle with self-help books.
Me too. You read them, feel inspired, and then...
Life happens and you forget everything.
Exactly.
The lectures actually address this. They have a 4-step process for reading them.
A 4-step process.
Yep. Developed by Mortimer J. Adler.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So step 1 is reading for general content, getting the big picture.
Okay. Makes sense.
Then you go back and read for specific details, the examples, the evidence.
To really absorb it.
Exactly. Step 3 is memorization, but don't worry.
Not the whole book.
No, just key passages that resonate with you.
Like little nuggets of wisdom to carry with you.
Exactly. And finally, step 4 is rereading for inspiration.
So you revisit the book periodically to rekindle that motivation.
Exactly. It's like checking in with a wise mentor.
I like that analogy. Okay, but let's circle back to the sleeping giant.
Right, the sleeping giant.
We know PMA is key, but what does that look like in practice?
Well, it's not just positive thinking. It's about aligning your thoughts, words, and actions
Aligning them with what?
with your highest ideals. Cultivating faith, hope, love, purpose, the whole package.
It's like a tall order.
It can be, but it's also incredibly empowering.
Right. We're not just waiting for happiness, we're creating it.
Exactly. And they use this analogy of life as a journey.
Oh, I love that analogy.
We're the captain of our own ship, navigating life's waters.
But every good captain needs a compass, right?
Right. And the lectures call this our compensated compass.
Compensated compass, what's that?
It's not a physical compass, it's an internal guide. Helps us stay true to our values.
So, aligning our actions with our beliefs and aspirations.
Exactly. And they suggest the ultimate source of guidance is the will of God.
Aligning with a higher purpose.
Exactly. But how do we know what God's will is?
Yeah, that's a big question.
It is. They say it's not always about clear instructions or signs.
Oh, it's more about intuition.
Yeah, a quiet inner knowing that guides us.
Like a gut feeling.
Exactly. And they say prayer, meditation, introspection can help us connect with that.
So, turning inward to find direction.
Right. But what if we mess up, make mistakes along the way?
We're human. It happens.
It does. And the lectures acknowledge that, but they emphasize forgiveness.
Forgiving ourselves and others.
Exactly. Holding on to guilt and resentment just weighs us down.
So releasing those burdens to move forward.
Exactly. It's a constant process of growth and transformation.
And these lectures, this deep dive, it's all part of that.
It is. Guidance, inspiration, tools, but ultimately we chart our own course.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's a great place to pause for now.
Agreed. Lots to think about.
We'll dive into the final techniques for awakening that sleeping giant in part 3.
Can't wait.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive for our final part.
Part 3. Can you believe it?
I know, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Right. Especially when we're talking about happiness and purpose and all that good stuff.
Exactly. We've gone from the power of words to facing our guilt.
And now it's time to awaken that sleeping giant within, right?
Yes. To really take all these insights and put them into action.
To create a life we love, a life that's meaningful.
I love that. And, you know, throughout these lectures, this analogy of a journey keeps coming up.
The journey of life. Right?
Yeah, it's such a powerful image, like we're in the driver's seat.
We're the captains of our own ships.
But every good captain needs a compass.
Exactly. And remember, the lectures talk about this compensated compass.
Right, that inner guide that helps us stay true to our values.
And they say the ultimate source of guidance is the will of God.
Aligning with a higher purpose.
Right. But, you know, it can be hard to grasp what that actually means.
Yeah, how do we know what God's will is for our lives?
It's a tough question, right? The lectures don't give a simple answer.
So, no magic formula.
Nope. But they suggest it's about cultivating that inner knowing.
That quiet intuition that guides us.
Exactly. Making choices that feel right, that resonate with our core values.
Like a deep gut feeling.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's about learning to trust ourselves,
Absolutely. And they say prayer, meditation, spending time in nature can help.
to quiet the noise and listen to that inner voice.
Right. It's also about surrounding ourselves with positive influences.
Uplifting people, inspiring books, peaceful environments.
Exactly. Creating a space where happiness can thrive.
I love that. It's like setting the stage for a joyful life.
It is. And speaking of creating, the lectures talk about visualization.
Oh yeah, the power of the mind to create reality.
Exactly. They encourage us to imagine the life we desire.
To really picture it in detail.
Yep. What it looks like, feels like, even smells like.
I've heard athletes and entrepreneurs use visualization.
It's a powerful tool. And in this context, it's about shifting our energy.
From what we lack to what we want.
Right. Focusing on those desires, feeling the joy as if they were already here.
So we're sending out a signal to the universe.
Exactly. This is what I want. This is who I am becoming.
And as we align our thoughts and actions with that vision,
We create momentum. We start attracting those experiences.
but of course, there will still be challenges along the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Life is full of ups and downs.
But the idea is to face those challenges with a positive attitude.
Exactly. Knowing we have the strength to overcome them.
And that brings us back to the sleeping giant.
The incredible power within each of us.
And the key to awakening that power is
PMA. Positive mental attitude.
choosing to focus on the good, on the possibilities.
Exactly. And the more we cultivate PMA, the more we access that power.
It's like it all connects. The words, the PMA, the guilt, the compass.
It's all part of the journey, this recipe for a fulfilling life.
And speaking of recipes, the lectures emphasize gratitude too.
Oh yeah, appreciation for the good things in our lives.
I've heard gratitude can actually make you happier.
It can. There's research to back it up.
So keeping a gratitude journal, writing thank you notes, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Taking time to appreciate the blessings we have.
It's simple but powerful.
It is. But you know, it all comes down to action.
Right, we can't just listen and expect things to magically change.
We have to take these insights and put them into practice.
Experiment, try things out, see what works for us.
Exactly. It's our journey, our responsibility.
And this deep dive has given us so much to work with.
It has a whole toolkit for personal growth.
Tools to awaken that sleeping giant and create a life we love.
Absolutely. It's been an amazing journey exploring these lectures together.
It really has. So as we wrap up, we leave you with this question.
A question to ponder.
Given everything we've learned, what one action step will you take this week to start awakening the sleeping giant within you? Until next time, fellow knowledge seekers, keep diving deep.